your brother Dwayne, still rated one of the top guitarists of all time, but he died in a motorcycle accident.
Right. Yes, he did.
Have you ever wondered how much brilliance can be packed into just a few short years? Some of the most legendary rock stars didn't just live fast. They left us even faster, their flames burning out before they even turned 25. Their music, timeless. Their stories, heartbreaking. From stage-shaking performances to chart-topping anthems, they gave us everything in the blink of an eye, only to vanish far too soon. Today, we're paying tribute to legendary rock stars who left us before turning 25. This is just part one of a series honoring those who left us way, way too early. We ended the last episode with Razzle of Hanoi Rocks, who tragically passed away at just 24. If you missed it, be sure to check out the description for part one. Now let's move into the 1980s and celebrate the extraordinary life and tragic loss of Cliff Burton. Cliff Burton wasn't just the bassist for Metallica, he was the soul of their early sound. Known for his virtuosic playing and unique style, Burton brought a classical influence to the thrashing chaos of heavy metal. He was the mastermind behind iconic bass solos like Anesthesia, Pulling Teeth, and his creativity shaped albums like Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets. Born on February 10, 1962, in Castro Valley, California, Cliff's musical journey was deeply personal. After his older brother Scott passed away from a cerebral aneurysm, a 13-year-old Cliff dedicated himself to music, practicing up to 6 hours a day in his brother's honor. His talent was undeniable, and it didn't take long for him to stand out. In 1982, Metallica discovered him while he was playing with the band Trauma at the Whiskey A Go-Go in Los Angeles. So impressed were James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich that they persuaded him to join their band, even relocating to the Bay Area to make it happen. Tragically, things could have been so different. On the night of the bus crash in which Cliff Burton would die, he and Kirk Hammett drew cards to decide who would sleep in the one bunk with a window. The first card Cliff picked was the Ace of Spades, and he looked at me and said, "I want your bunk," Kirk recalled. And I said, "Fine, take my bunk, I'll sleep up front, that's probably better anyway." Hours later, the bus skidded on icy Swedish roads, and Cliff was thrown through the window of the bunk he'd claimed, only to be crushed beneath the overturned vehicle. He was just 24. Cliff, your bass may have fallen silent, but your sound continues to thunder through the hearts of fans worldwide. From the icy roads of Sweden, we travel to the jazz-funk grooves of the 1970s, where another young talent met a tragic end. In the groovy world of the 1970s, Robbie McIntosh was a force to be reckoned with. As the drummer for the Average White Band, Robbie's impeccable rhythm powered hits like Pick Up the Pieces, bringing infectious funk to life. His drumming style, both precise and soulful, elevated the band to international fame, earning them a place among the greats of the era. But behind the beats, tragedy loomed. On September 23, 1974, during a party in Los Angeles, Robbie unknowingly consumed heroin laced with strychnine. The lethal dose proved fatal, and Robbie passed away at just 24. His shocking death stunned the music world and left a void that could never be filled. Robbie, your rhythm may have stopped, but the groove you created will forever keep us moving. As the funk faded into silence, a voice emerged, a voice that touched the soul, sang of love, and yet was silenced all too soon. Tammy Terrell's voice was the heart of Motown. She sang with unmatched emotion, delivering iconic duets with Marvin Gaye, such as Ain't No Mountain High Enough and You're All I Need to Get By. Born in Philadelphia, Tammy was discovered as a teenager and quickly rose to prominence. Her chemistry with Gaye wasn't just musical, it was pure magic. But behind her radiant smile, Tammy battled relentless health challenges. In 1967, she collapsed on stage during a performance with Gaye. Diagnosed with a brain tumor, she underwent multiple surgeries over the next 3 years. On March 16, 1970, at just 24, Tammy passed away. Her loss devastated Marvin Gaye, who never fully recovered, dedicating his album What's Going On to her memory. Tammy, your voice remains an eternal beacon of love and resilience. From Tammy's soulful melodies, we ride into the bluesy rock of the Deep South, where a guitar genius revolutionized a genre before fate intervened.
Your brother Dwayne, still rated one of the top guitarists of all time, but he died in a motorcycle accident.
Right. Yes, he did.
Duane Allman was more than just a guitarist. He was a pioneer who redefined the sound of Southern rock, slide supremo, blues maestro, jazz improviser, band leader, and mothership. Duane Allman was all those things. As the co-founder of the Allman Brothers Band, he fused blues, jazz, and rock into a genre-defining sound that was as soulful as it was groundbreaking. Tracks like Whipping Post and Dreams showcased his virtuosic slide guitar work and his ability to blend technical precision with raw emotion. But Duane's talents weren't confined to his own band. He was also a highly sought-after session musician, leaving his mark on tracks like Aretha Franklin's The Weight and Eric Clapton's Layla, where his signature slide guitar riff elevated the song to legendary status. Duane wasn't just a musician, he was a visionary who approached every note with purpose and passion. On October 29, 1971, tragedy struck. While riding his motorcycle in Macon, Georgia, Duane collided with a truck and succumbed to his injuries. He was just 24 years old. Despite his brief life, Duane's influence on music remains monumental. He didn't just play the guitar, he transformed it into an instrument capable of expressing the deepest human emotions. Duane, your guitar strings may have snapped, but your music will forever echo through the ages. From the southern crossroads of blues and rock, we now step into the streets of Harlem, where a young prodigy sang his way to fame and fell into tragedy. Imagine a 13-year-old kid revolutionizing pop music. That was Frankie Lyman, the dynamic lead singer of the Teenagers. In the 1950s, Frankie's high-pitched voice and charisma made him an instant sensation. Hits like Why Do Fools Fall in Love captured the spirit of youthful romance, turning Frankie and the Teenagers into international stars. At just 14, he became the youngest performer to headline at New York's Apollo Theater, proving his talent was undeniable. But fame came too quickly, and Frankie struggled to adapt. By 15, he had gone solo, but his career never reached the same heights. Behind the scenes, he battled addiction, which eventually overshadowed his immense talent. On February 27, 1968, at just 25 years old, Frankie died of a heroin overdose in his grandmother's bathroom. Frankie, your voice may have faded, but the joy and innocence of your songs will forever remind us of the magic of youth. From the streets of Harlem to the electrifying stages of heavy metal, we now meet a guitarist who played like lightning before fate grounded him forever. Randy Rhoads didn't just play guitar, he redefined it. As the prodigious guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne, Randy combined classical influences with blistering metal riffs, creating a sound that was both intricate and explosive. His work on Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman introduced solos like Crazy Train, which remain some of the most iconic in rock history. Born on December 6, 1956, in Santa Monica, California, Randy was immersed in music from an early age. His parents were both music teachers, and his mother founded a music school where Randy began his formal training. By age 7, he was taking guitar lessons, and his prodigious talent quickly became evident. As a teenager, he formed several bands, including Violet Fox and Little Woman, the latter evolving into Quiet Riot. In 1979, Randy auditioned for Ozzy Osbourne, who was forming a new band after leaving Black Sabbath. Despite Ozzy being under the influence during the audition, Randy's performance was so impressive that he was hired on the spot. Their collaboration led to the creation of groundbreaking albums that showcased Randy's innovative guitar work. Tragically, on March 19, 1982, while on tour in Leesburg, Florida, Randy boarded a small plane piloted by the band's tour bus driver, Andrew Aycock. Also on board was the band's makeup artist, Rachel Youngblood. During an attempt to buzz the tour bus, the plane clipped the vehicle, causing it to crash into a nearby house and burst into flames. All 3 occupants perished instantly. Randy, your strings are silent, but your music continues to blaze like a comet through the metal cosmos. From the soaring highs of heavy metal, we return to the smoky rhythm and blues clubs of the 1950s, where another young star met a tragic end. Johnny Ace was one of rhythm and blues' brightest stars, known for his smooth voice and soulful ballads like Pledging My Love.
My heart's at your command, dear.
In the early 1950s, Johnny's music captivated audiences, earning him a reputation as one of the genre's first crossover artists. His charm and talent made him a favorite among fans and a pioneer in bridging the gap between R&B and mainstream pop. Born John Marshall Alexander Jr. on June 9, 1929, in Memphis, Tennessee, Johnny was the son of a preacher. He grew up near Lemoyne-Owen College and, after serving in the U.S. Navy during the Korean War, joined Adolph Duncan's band as a pianist. He later became part of B.B. King's band and eventually took over vocal duties, renaming the group the Beale Streeters. Johnny's first recording, My Song, topped the R&B chart for 9 weeks in September 1952, marking the beginning of his successful solo career. But Johnny's life took a shocking turn on Christmas Day in 1954. Backstage during a concert break at the City Auditorium in Houston, Texas, he was reportedly playing with a .32 caliber revolver. Accounts vary, but it's believed that Johnny, either engaging in a game of Russian roulette or mishandling the firearm, accidentally shot himself. He was just 25 years old. Johnny, your legacy as a crooner of timeless love songs remains untouched, and your voice still resonates through the decades. From the soulful ballads of Johnny Ace, we pivot to the punk-driven energy of the 1980s, where one guitarist's innovations left an indelible mark. He was the forgotten guitar hero, James Honeyman Scott. As the founding guitarist of the Pretenders, James was the creative spark behind the band's distinctive sound. Combining punk energy with melodic sophistication, he brought life to unforgettable tracks like Brass in Pocket, Kid, and Talk of the Town. His jangly, layered riffs and innovative use of effects pedals gave the Pretenders a style that was as fresh as it was timeless. Born in Hereford, England, on November 4, 1956, James picked up the guitar as a teenager, inspired by blues legends like Albert King and Eric Clapton. By the late 1970s, he joined Chrissie Hynde to form the Pretenders, quickly earning a reputation as one of the most inventive guitarists of his time. Yet despite his talent and influence, his life was tragically brief. On June 16, 1982, James died from heart failure brought on by cocaine intolerance. Cocaine intolerance refers to an adverse physiological reaction to the drug, where the body cannot metabolize or tolerate its effects. This can cause severe complications, including cardiovascular failure, even with relatively small amounts of the substance. For James, it led to a sudden and tragic end. He was just 25 years old. His death shocked the music world and left the Pretenders forever altered, as they lost not just a bandmate, but the driving force behind their sound. From James's punk-driven creativity, we move to the soulful blues rock of the 1970s, where a guitarist's emotional playing left an indelible mark before his time was cut short. Paul Kossoff wasn't just a guitarist, he was a master of feel and emotion. As a member of the British rock band Free, he captivated listeners with his soulful playing on hits like All Right Now. Influenced by blues legends such as B.B. King, Paul's ability to infuse raw emotion into every note made him one of the most distinctive guitarists of his generation. However, Paul's career was marred by struggles with drug addiction, which took a heavy toll on his health. On March 19, 1976, while flying from Los Angeles to New York City, Paul suffered a fatal pulmonary embolism at just 25 years old. A pulmonary embolism is a blockage in the lungs, often caused by blood clots, and can be exacerbated by prolonged immobility during flights, something that Paul's fragile state likely worsened. Despite his tragic end, Paul's impact on music remains immeasurable. His emotional playing continues to inspire countless guitarists, and his band's anthem All Right Now is a timeless reminder of his brilliance. Paul, your music still speaks to the heart, and though you've left us, your legacy will forever resonate. From Paul's soulful melodies, we now turn to a pioneer who transformed the electric guitar into a lead instrument, blazing a trail for modern jazz.
In passing, Charlie Christian. Why was he special?
Well, Charlie Christian is known as the father of the modern jazz electric guitar.
Charlie Christian was a trailblazer, revolutionizing jazz by introducing the electric guitar as a lead instrument. In the late 1930s and early 1940s, Charlie was a pioneer of bebop and swing, collaborating with Benny Goodman and influencing legends like Miles Davis and Wes Montgomery. His improvisations weren't just technical marvels, they were transformative, opening new possibilities for jazz and beyond. In 1941, Charlie's promising career was derailed by tuberculosis, a disease that was often fatal in an era before antibiotics were widely available. Despite his declining health, he continued to perform as long as he could, with his final public appearances showing a man determined to play through the pain. By the end of the year, his condition worsened, and he was admitted to Seaview Sanatorium on Staten Island, a facility known for treating tuberculosis patients. On March 2, 1942, Charlie succumbed to the disease at just 25 years old. The jazz world mourned the loss of a genius who had barely scratched the surface of his potential. His groundbreaking techniques and innovations, however, had already left an indelible mark on the genre, influencing generations of musicians. Charlie, your melodies may have been fleeting, but they remain eternal in the evolution of music. From Charlie's timeless contributions, we now turn to a rock guitarist whose explosive talent burned out all too quickly. When thinking of the legendary guitarists who have passed through Deep Purple's ranks, two names often steal the spotlight: Ritchie Blackmore, the iconic riff master whose groundbreaking work defined the band's early years, and Steve Morse, the virtuosic maestro who brought technical brilliance to their later era, right? Well, one name that often flies under the radar is Tommy Bolin, a supremely talented guitarist who stepped into the limelight in 1975 following Blackmore's departure. Bolin's artistry and innovation gave Deep Purple a fresh sound, helping to keep the band afloat during a turbulent period, even though his time with them was tragically brief. Tommy's journey to greatness began in Sioux City, Iowa, where he was born on August 1, 1951. A natural talent, he picked up the guitar in his youth and quickly developed a style that blended rock, blues, and jazz into something uniquely his own. By the early 1970s, Tommy had joined the James Gang, contributing his dynamic guitar work to albums like Bang and Miami. Around the same time, his collaboration with jazz drummer Billy Cobham on the 1973 album Spectrum showcased his versatility, earning him recognition as a forward-thinking musician who could transcend genres. In 1975, Bolin faced the monumental challenge of replacing Ritchie Blackmore in Deep Purple. On the album Come Taste the Band, Tommy breathed new life into the band, blending hard rock with funk and jazz influences in a way that pushed their sound into uncharted territory. His playing was bold, innovative, and full of emotion, proving that he was more than capable of filling the shoes of his legendary predecessor. However, his time with Deep Purple was cut short when the band disbanded in 1976. Tragically, Tommy's promising career came to an abrupt end on December 4, 1976, when he died from a drug overdose at the age of 25. The music world lost a bright star whose potential was just beginning to unfold. Tommy, though your time with us was brief, your innovative spirit and contributions to music continue to inspire. Your legacy is a reminder of the boundless creativity that defined your genius and the fragility of the brilliance that was taken too soon. The stories of these rock stars remind us of how fleeting genius can be. Though their lives were tragically short, their music continues to echo through the ages, inspiring countless generations. Who do you think left the biggest impact in their brief time with us? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe as we continue to celebrate and uncover the legacies of rock legends gone too soon. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive even deeper into the stories of those who burned brightly and left us too quickly. Until then, keep rocking and keep their memories alive.